Love. In today's video, I am sharing what I had for dinner this week. I tried a new recipe from a new cookbook that I haven't used before, which was really fun. And then I also tried a new product that I really loved as well. And I've been trying to use up things that I have in my freezer and pantry, like we all are doing right now during this time. And I hope that you enjoy this video and you get some inspiration for new recipes to try for dinner with your family. Tonight for dinner, I'm going to be making a meatless meatloaf. One of my goals is to try to cook from my cookbooks more often than I actually do. I think it's honestly been a long time since I've actually cooked a recipe from a cookbook, and I have a pretty large cookbook collection. I love cookbooks, and so I have a lot, so I want to start cooking more from my cookbooks. And tonight's dinner is from this cookbook. This is Southern Girl Meets Vegetarian Boy by Damaris Phillips. I love the Food Network. It's like one of my guilty pleasures, and I remember when Damaris was on the next Food Network star, and I loved that season, and I just loved her personality. So I went ahead and got this cookbook, and this cookbook is a mix of carnivore recipes and then plant-based vegetarian and vegan recipes too. And on some recipes she gives options on how you can make it plant-based, how you can make it carnivore, which I love, which is perfect if you are living in a mixed family where you have one person in your family who is vegetarian or vegan and everybody else eats meat. This is a great cookbook to have because it gives you options. And like my family, they're not vegan, and they just always assume they don't know what to cook for me because I'm vegan, even though I have a vegan food blog, which I find funny and ironic. But this would be a great cookbook because it shows people who aren't familiar with vegan cooking or plant-based cooking options and how they can turn their family favorite recipes that have meat into plant-based versions. So tonight I'm going to be making this horseradish meatless meatloaf. It looks so good. And then this one actually has this is the plant-based vegan version, and then if you flip over to the next page, it has the meat version. So I just love having the options, and so I'm so excited to actually cook from a cookbook tonight for dinner since it's been forever, and this sounds amazing. And I went ahead and actually prepped a lot of the ingredients too, because I figured you probably wouldn't want to see a lot of that, which can be kind of time consuming. And I will put a link down below for this cookbook on Amazon if you are interested in purchasing it too. So let's go ahead and get started on dinner. The first thing that we need to do for the recipe is to finely chop some shiitake mushrooms in a food processor. Mine were kind of large, so I went ahead and just gave them a pre-chop, and I cleaned them and trimmed them. And then I'm just using this KitchenAid mini food processor. This is such a great thing to have in the kitchen when you don't want to pull out your big food processor and you just have a little bit to chop and not a lot. Because I know my food processor, if I'm just chopping a little bit, sometimes it doesn't chop it right, or it won't be able to grab the food on the blade because it is the larger size food processor. So I will put a link for it down below in the description box because I think it's a great tool to have in the kitchen. Oh my gosh, my mushrooms are going overboard. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add these in here. I might have to do these in 2 batches, but that's okay. And then just put that on there, and then just press this down. And it's so easy to use. I just love it so much. So I'm just gonna press these. My mushrooms are finely chopped, and this little food processor does such a great job at chopping. I just love it so much. So I have a deep-sided skillet that I'm going to heat some avocado oil in. So I chopped a green bell pepper and a yellow onion that I'm going to add to the pan. I'm always making a mess. And then I'm gonna add in those shiitake mushrooms that I chopped. It's gonna come out. And these need to saute for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that mini food processor to chop up some of the rest of the ingredients. Walnuts, oats, flaxseed. This might be a little too small. Oops. I think this should work. Dry mustard powder. And then I need some garlic powder. And then salt and pepper, of course. And I'm just gonna mix everything together. Everything is nicely chopped, and now I'm gonna mix a few more ingredients in a large bowl together. So I need some horseradish, which I have actually never cooked with horseradish before, so that'll be exciting to try this out. And then another new to me ingredient are diced pimentos. I have never cooked with diced pimentos before, so I'm excited to try some new ingredients in this recipe. Okay, that looks good. And I need some tomato paste. And I love buying tomato paste in the tube. It's just is so much easier to use than in the little cans. Usually I buy mine at Trader Joe's, but I forgot to pick some up. I need about 2 tablespoons. For these ingredients, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And then, what else do I need? Then I need some Worcestershire sauce. I know that it's just like one of those words that's so hard to say. So I need a tablespoon of that, which I will measure. And you want to make sure that you're using a vegan-friendly sauce, which there are quite a few out on the market. This one's from Whole Foods. This one is not my favorite, but I'm going to use it up until it's gone. And then I have some flax eggs, which will help bind everything together. Then I need to grab a whisk. And then I'm just gonna whisk this all together. Whew, I can really smell that horseradish. Whew, smells so strong. I think this is gonna be a very flavorful meatless meatloaf. So I'm just reading the recipe, and I wasn't supposed to add the pimento peppers quite yet. It's supposed to be in the next step, which I didn't realize, but that should be okay. Now I'm going to add in the walnut mixture. And what else do I need? And I also cooked some rice earlier, so I'll go ahead and grab that. Make sure to get everything in there. I have a cup of cooked brown rice. The recipe calls for basmati rice, but I didn't have any, and I have a huge bag of brown rice to use up, so that is what I'm going to use. And then our sauteed vegetables are done too, so I'm gonna go ahead and add those in. And then mix everything together. This smells really good. I'm so excited for dinner tonight. And so that's all mixed together, and then I'm just going to pour it into my loaf pan. And I didn't use this for Valentine's Day, but my loaf pan has hearts on it. So I have my loaf pan, and I'm just going to add in our mixture. Oh, it's heavy. This smells so good. Everything get in there. Oops, get back in there. Just smush it all in. And then we're gonna add ketchup on top. I just don't think it's a meatloaf, whether it has meat or it's a vegan meatloaf, without some ketchup. So I'm gonna smooth this out. And then add our glaze. The recipe called for a cup of ketchup, but this seems like a lot of ketchup, so I might not add it all. I mean, I love ketchup, but it just seems like a lot. Let's start with this much. And I also added a little sriracha to our glaze. And then this is just going to bake in the oven for about 45 minutes, covered, and then uncovered for another half hour. And I'll be ready for dinner. So I'll add a little more. Here is the finished vegan meatloaf that I just took out of the oven. It smelled amazing and it was delicious. To go alongside the vegan meatloaf, I went ahead and made a veganized version of one of my childhood favorites, broccoli and cheese casserole. I had some vegan cream of mushroom soup to use up, and so I went ahead and added that with some broccoli and cheese and baked it in the oven, and it was perfect served alongside the vegan meatloaf. Tonight for dinner, I'm going to be making sweet and sour cabbage, and then I'm going to make some vegan sausages along with that, and then I think I'm going to roast up some potatoes because that sounds really good. If you saw my recent grocery haul and meal plan video, you know that I was talking about how I was craving sweet and sour cabbage, which I know is kind of weird, but it just sounds so good. And I love cabbage, and it's readily available usually at the grocery store, and it lasts a while stored. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that, and then I'm going to be making the smoked apple sage sausages from Field Roast. If you have not had these sausages before, I highly recommend them. They're so good, and the ingredients are made from whole foods, nothing super processed, which I love. And I really love the apple flavor of these sausages, and I think that it's gonna go really well with the sweet and sour cabbage. And so sometimes I have these sausages like in a bun, but I think I'm just going to have them plain, just roast up one of the sausages with the sweet and sour cabbage, and then roast up some potatoes. I think I could eat roasted potatoes like every day. And I really love these little potatoes. They're so good and they roast up really well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and roast some of those up as well. And I think that's what I'm gonna have for dinner. It sounds so good. And honestly, I don't know why I'm craving sweet and sour cabbage, but I'm just gonna roll with it and get started on dinner. I'm using a large deep-sided skillet, and hopefully this is large enough to hold all the cabbage, but it will cook down. I'm gonna go ahead and add in some vegan butter, and I am just using the Country Crock plant butter. I bought this recently to try for the first time, and I do really like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that melt before adding in the cabbage. The butter has melted, And then I just went ahead and cleaned and sliced a head of red cabbage. So I'm going to add that in. Get it all in there. Then I'm going to add some salt. Give this a stir. And then I'm just going to let the cabbage cook a little bit before adding our sugar and vinegar. The cabbage has started to cook down and it's already smelling so good. So I'm going to give this a stir, and then I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and then 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, a little bit more salt, and then I'm going to add some black pepper if I can find it. It should be somewhere. Found the black pepper, so I'm just going to sprinkle some of the cabbage. Just keeping the seasonings very simple for the sweet and sour cabbage. And then I'm going to let this simmer probably for 25 to 30 minutes until the cabbage is nice and tender. And then I'll give it a taste test to see if I need to add any more sugar or vinegar. I think it's plenty of vinegar, but we'll see about if it's sweet enough or it's too sour. And the amount of sugar and vinegar definitely depends on your taste buds. Some people like their sweet and sour cabbage on the more sour side, and then some prefer it a little bit sweeter. So that looks good. So I'm just going to reduce the heat and then cover this up. And then we will check back in on it in a little bit. The cabbage and potatoes are almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and slice up my vegan sausage. I went ahead and removed the casing that it comes in, and you can cook it whole like this, but I really like to slice it into round. That way each slice gets a little golden brown. I think it makes it extra delicious. So I'm just gonna saute the sausage in a skillet for a few minutes until nice and golden brown. The cabbage is done. I did go ahead and give it a little taste, and I just added a touch more brown sugar, probably another 1/2 to 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And then I am just sauteing up the vegan sausage. So here is my finished plate. I have some roasted potatoes, our sweet and sour cabbage, and then our sauteed vegan sausage from Field Roast. I'm so excited to eat this. The cabbage is so good, and I definitely recommend making that if you are a fan of cabbage. I am trying to use up some things that I have in my pantry and freezer, and my mom had picked this up for me, I want to say a month or 2 ago, before all this craziness happened. She found this at Sam's Club, and it is a buffalo cauliflower, and it's already breaded and you just cook it in the oven. So I thought buffalo cauliflower tacos sounded really good for dinner tonight. So this is how the cauliflower comes. There are 2 bags in the box of the cauliflower, and this is going to bake in the oven, and then once it comes out of the oven it gets tossed in this buffalo sauce. And it is completely vegan, it says right on the box, which is super exciting to find vegan products. I get always excited about that. And I don't know if I've ever had anything from the Tattooed Chef before, so I'm excited to give these a try and make tacos for dinner. So I went ahead and assembled my dinner plate. I made my tacos with the buffalo cauliflower. After the cauliflower was done baking, I tossed it in the buffalo sauce, and then I added some romaine lettuce, and then some celery sticks on the side, and then I made my vegan ranch dressing to drizzle on top of the tacos. So I went ahead and assembled my buffalo cauliflower tacos. I heated up some corn tortillas, added the buffalo cauliflower and some chopped lettuce, and then also had some celery on the side because I thought that would be a nice addition to serve alongside the tacos. Next, I drizzled some homemade vegan ranch over top of the tacos. This really took these buffalo cauliflower tacos to the next level. You can use a store-bought vegan ranch dressing, and I will link my homemade vegan dressing down below if you would like to try that out. And if you are new here, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. It would mean the world to me. And I do post new videos every week, sharing my favorite recipes, travel posts when I am traveling, which is not currently, but hopefully in the near distant future. And if you would love to see different product reviews, different recipes, and what I'm eating, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. And let's get cooking.